it's Monica, and today I am so excited and also kind of distraught because I'm about to talk about my 2018 reading goals. I don't know where the time went. I also feel like I lived a decade. These are two very weird feelings to try and combine, but that's where we're at. Anyways, it is surprisingly the end of 2017, and I've recently been reflecting on the past year and my reading the past year and just thinking about the different goals and challenges I want to set for myself in the upcoming year. Now, over the last year, I've had a lot of realizations about myself as a person, and some of these pertain to reading. One of these realizations is one that sort of pertains to my entire life, but also to reading, and that is that I am very much so a goals-oriented person. I like structure, I like stability, I like knowing that I'm working towards something, and that really drives me forward and gets me out of bed in the morning. In 2017, I really did not have that when it came to reading. I set my Goodreads challenge as one book. I didn't, take on any challenges when it came to reading. I just sort of was like, you know what, I'll read what I want to read when I want to read it. And for me, I just didn't enjoy that as much. I like the challenge. I like having a number that kind of stresses me out, that I want to chase in order to achieve. Like that's just how I operate as a person. I find that to be fun. So this year I have decided to re-implement the reading challenge. My goal is to read 50 books. This year I'll be lucky to read 30, which is not a low number. Like, I recognize that, like, for a lot of people, 30 is an amazing number of books. And for some people, it's a minuscule number of books. It's like so subjective to every person's time, ability, whatever. So I fully recognize that the number that I'm giving myself at 50 is totally arbitrary. It's just the number that I like to try and hit each year previous to 2017. I think this year, I don't want to blame it completely on the fact that I didn't set a goal number for myself. This past year has been a lot. It's been stressful both in the world and in my personal life. A lot of stuff has been going on, a lot of changes. I feel like basically all of 2017, for the most part, I was traveling, like, in a constant state of limbo, and that for me, I think, had a huge effect on my reading and my mental health and a bunch of other things. I might talk about that in a future video, but yeah. So I don't want to blame this completely on the number thing, but I do kind of want to just kick off the year strong and just have something in mind, have that goal in mind. I have a lot of goals that I want to hit in 2018, a lot of really big goals. So reading 50 books is one of them. It's not the most important one by far, but it's one of them. Now, one of the things that I realized last year is that I also struggle with making the time. And it's not that I don't have the time. And I recognize that there are a lot of people who honestly just don't have the time. But for me, what I find myself doing at night is I go onto YouTube, I watch random videos that I don't even really care about, like people that I not even subscribe to, that I'm just sort of watching because I just can't look away. That's not directed at anyone on BookTube, by the way, no shade. I'll find myself doing that, scrolling through Facebook, scrolling through Instagram, scrolling through Twitter. Twitter is the big one. And then just sort of getting into these cycles of just sort of spending time doing nothing. And I know that a big chunk of that is because for a lot of the time, I have something else that I want to do. I have some big project or whatever that I'm like, oh, I should be doing that. And in my brain, I'm like, well, if you do something that you enjoy, then I feel guilty. So if I actually if I want to have that downtime and I do something like watch a movie I really want to watch or read a book or write, my brain just creates this sort of guilt for myself. You're not doing the thing you should be doing, you're relaxing and doing this thing. So instead, I find myself doing meaningless things because I don't feel that guilt, which is odd. I'm working through it. I'm trying to recognize when that's happening and to redirect myself. But to go along with that, I really want to start off 2018 by just making the time for reading, making the time for the things that I want to do. So I am doing this challenge that I am dubbing Readuary. Basically, my goal is pretty simple. I want to read every day during the month of January for 30 minutes every day. And I totally invite any of you who are interested in this, who also want to take on the challenge of making the time, to join me. Now, like I said, this challenge is all about making the time. So I'm not looking at what I'm reading or how I'm reading. I really just want to set aside that time, that 30 minutes every day, where I'm like, this is your time to read. Choose something and read it, whether it's listening to an audiobook, reading a physical book, picking up an ebook, whatever. Just as long as it's reading, I'm happy. For me, I set 30 minutes a day. If you choose to take part in this, feel free to set whatever works for your life and your schedule, whether that's 5 minutes or an hour, whatever you would like to do, or you don't have to do this at all. I'm just opening it up for the world because I tweeted about it and there seemed to be a lot of interest and also taking part in this. I think because like as people, and like I hear this a lot from like my friends and family members and just like other people on the internet, that it is hard to like make that time and that it's easy to sort of forget or push off the things that you actually want to do until it's too late to do them. You know, it's like, oh, I want to read that book, and then all of a sudden it's 2 a.m. and I'm like, oh, I didn't read that book, I guess I'll do it tomorrow, and then tomorrow never happens. So that's my goal. I just want to make the time. That's it. To help me with this, I am using 2 tools. Nothing fancy at all. I basically just have my planner for the year. And my goal is that every day that I read, I'll just mark it on my January month at a glance. I'll add a little heart. It'll be great. It'll be adorable. And then my other thing is to set a time. Now, there are apps. I like the app BookBub, which allows you to sort of set reminders every day, and it also allows you to like set sort of a stopwatch for your reading, which I think is quite nice. You could also just set an alarm on your phone, which might be what I just do, I don't know. But basically just having that reminder sometime around 7 p.m. for me, that's just like, hey, remember, this is the thing you wanted to make sure that you did. You wanted to make sure that you read for 30 minutes. So do that at some point tonight. That is my main goal for the start of the year. I don't know if I'm gonna continue that for the rest of the year. My hope is that basically doing this at the very beginning of the year, kicking off the year with this, will really just light a fire under me for the rest of the year. It'll sort of create this new habit that I can then continue throughout the rest of the year, and maybe I'll redo this every once in a while if I feel like I'm slacking off. I'm gonna be posting my progress with the hashtag Readuary, so if you would like to use the hashtag, feel free, or tag me or whatever. I'd love to hear about your experiences with it if you end up doing this challenge. But yeah, I'm just really excited. I'm excited to read and to make that a priority again, because I think for this past year, it hasn't been a priority for me, and I really want to fix that. Now, I have one more challenge for myself that will span the rest of 2018. Now, for me, I know that there are lots of different sort of category and theme challenges, but that's the one thing that does not work for me. Like, I'm definitely that kind of reader that once you tell me that I have to read something, it's the last thing I want to read. Like, if you tell me, like, oh, one of your challenges is to read a thriller, then I will never read that thriller. That's just me being a butthead, I don't know. Definitely I'll keep doing like all the reading challenges that happen throughout the year because I find them so fun, but I also recognize that I rarely to ever actually complete them for that reason. But anyways, my other big challenge for myself for this year is to have a 1 in, 1 out system with my TBR. And I want to be really strict with myself with this. So basically, it is very, very literally for every new book I bring into my TBR, 1 has to leave. My goal is that in 2018, my TBR doesn't get any bigger. If anything, it gets smaller, which seems impossible at this point. And I don't mean like my life TBR. Like, there are tons of books that I want to read, and that list is ever expanding and growing. It's my physical TBR. For me, my goal is to definitely maintain where I'm at right now as far as my physical TBR, if not to decrease it drastically, hopefully, over the next year. We'll see. And I am also counting books that I am sent by publishers and subscription services. So if I decide to keep any of those books and review them, or if I request the books, then 1 has to go. that's my decision. So I might regret this and hate myself in a little bit, but that is the goal that I'm gonna go with, and I'm just gonna live with it. So yeah, those are my challenges for myself for 2018. I'd love to hear if you guys are partaking in any particular challenges for the next year, any reading challenges, writing challenges, what have you. If you end up doing a Readuary, definitely let me know. I'd love to see and to hear your experiences. And I think that's it. So I'll talk to y'all next time. Bye!